18 stages.
18 stages is a brilliant way to start the episode on the stream there. Nobody will understand what that means, Richard, but that was like a teaser for what will be coming later. So welcome, everybody, to Bxb'S Bits and Bobs, episode 25. That's some kind of milestone, isn't it? That's pretty cool. It's like 50 weeks. That's nearly a year. It'll be about a year next episode, won't it? So that's pretty exciting. With me today, though, we have a full house. It's a return of the classic team, the OGs. Adam is back after... You've been off for a good couple of 2-3 episodes. We've not had you.
Yeah. My life's been complicated. What can I say? But I'm back here now.
Adam is back. We've missed you. And I've given Joel, I don't know if you noticed this in the show notes, Joel has a new job title. He's the West Coast editor. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good,
what
doesn't
the fuck?
Best job editor.
I live on the east side of the country.
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. So we've got, let me run through the crew today. I'm your host. This is Ben, editor-in-chief of Bxb Games. We've got Adam, the PC content editor extraordinaire. We've got Richard, the reviews editor. And now, it doesn't play well on radio when you sort of do a funny face on the camera, just so you know, Richard. It doesn't.
I did speak as well, Ben.
Yeah, I know. You sort of just you did a hand gesture, like a horizontal masturbation. I wasn't sure what it meant. And then we've got the newly promoted West Coast editor, Joel. It's one of those Saturdays, I don't know about you guys, but it's a bit grey. I've had an afternoon nap. I'm struggling to wake up. I'm an old man. I'm not feeling very awake. So this is going to be a weird, even more so probably than usual kind of show where we ramble through a whole load of stuff. How are you guys doing? How's your last 2 weeks, or however long you've been, peeps? Okay, nobody goes.
I mean, I've had some ups and downs in my career. Trying to find a job still, failing, but sticking in there, and generally been kind of tarting around. My PC's broken. I've been tarting around. It's been all right. My PC's broken, so I've got a CPU that's steadily overheating next to me. That's nice to have. But also, my brother bought a PlayStation 4.
Ooh.
He bought a PlayStation 4 specifically to play Persona 5.
Wow.
He has spent the best part of 250 quid. I can tell you an amazing story about the day he bought it, which is that he went into Game and said, I'd like to buy, the cheapest possible setup I can buy that will let me play Persona 5. And they put together some sort of bundle and went, we haven't got any second-hand PlayStations. Okay. And he literally watched the guy in the shop open the box on a brand new PlayStation and stick it in the pre-owned section so my brother could buy it.
Cool.
And he also did this with 2 games. So, yeah.
That's really curious because
pre-owned.
Obviously the consoles would sell for less, but on their system, the markup will probably mean that that guy putting it through the till is going to have a good numbers for the day.
Sure.
But that works for everybody then. You can't really argue with that. That's working out for the customer. That's working out for the dude behind the till. Good for him. I think cool.
I think it probably doesn't work out quite so well for games developers and Sony. I think
fuck Sony on their hardware. I don't care about that. But if it was an indie game he was taking off the shelf, I'd feel bad. But Persona, they're doing all right. It's like the fastest selling thing Atlas has ever produced. I mean, so
I think fastest selling thing Atlas have ever produced is probably World's Tallest Dwarf, but okay.
I suppose it's all relative. Yeah, fair. But
yes. This does mean I've got to watch a pretty much full playthrough of Persona 5.
The best way to experience that game by watching it. Yeah,
probably is. To be fair,
I wasn't being facetious.
I would argue there was very little difference between my experience and my brother's experience. Slightly less RSI for me, but it is what it is. That's the sort of game we're dealing with.
Well, you've not been on the last few shows where I've been talking about my experience with Persona. I don't know if you listened to them, but
no, I'm not there. That
I basically have fallen off the game after finishing the first dungeon. So I'm not. I think it's not as good as the previous one. That's for sure. So
Persona 5.
Yeah, it's not as good as 4.
No, I would agree with you on that. I don't think it's as good as 4. It's good, obviously. It's very, very good. It's Persona. I don't know if you want to talk about it now or if you want to talk about it later or talk about it never. All these options are valid, I think.
Well, look, whatever. If you want to talk about it now, it'd be weird to stop you talking about it just to come back to it later.
So,
Go for
the
it.
interesting thing about Persona 5 is, I don't know if anyone else here plays the Persona games, but it is broadly accepted, I believe, that you play Persona by getting an internet guide and doing exactly what it says at every moment. Because trying to actually brute force the optimal route through the game, it would be like 700 hours of work. You know, it's got this life simulator component where you gain levels and sort of strengthen your character by going and eating a burger in a restaurant or going and visiting this friend or visiting that friend. And I mean, the important thing to mention here is that if you are kind of off the curve with that at any point, you are likely to end the game without able to finish the game. Like, you'll come to a point where it'll just go, yeah, you're not got enough friends, so never mind, have a sad ending where you die. There we go, end of game. And so you don't like know when your save file is beyond redemption. You don't know when you've reached the point when you can't finish the game anymore. And so most people now just play it safe and just do what the internet guide says for every day. So, which is a very odd gameplay experience.
Okay, to that effect, your brother bought a PS4.
Yes.
Play this game.
Yes.
Did he then sit down immediately with this guide and do it and play this game? He started to play in that manner.
Yes.
That's exactly what he did. That's.
Wow.
I don't even know what to say about that. That's very. Okay, I'm confused. I mean, like, from what I can tell about the way they've balanced 5, I don't think it has that point in 5 where if you aren't playing it right, you will just fail. Because if anything, the way the dungeons seem to be to me, like I said, I've only done the first one, so I've put about 15 hours into the game. But the way they seem to be is that they have these things where you can be instant killed, which is ridiculous. Like, that's poorly done level design, like, you know. And the fact that all your party can get taken out except the main character. If your main character gets taken out, like knocked down, that's it. It's game over, which is fucking dumb. But other than that, you can basically do that to the enemies as well. So once you understand which enemies have got what kind of weaknesses, you can basically one hit everybody. Or at least knock them, stun them down, so you can do like a super hit on them, or things like that. So it's actually
that's all true.
But well, I don't. Obviously, I haven't got far enough. I've not been using a guide. Though, however, when I played Golden for Persona 4, I did use a guide. But yeah, I haven't been using a guide for 5, and I think perhaps it's that gaming mentality of min-maxing, where the idea that, you know, you're wasting your time if you're not getting the optimal path through it. I think you just kind of need to let that go when you're playing Persona and just do what feels right at that moment.
That is the opinion I had until I watched the full playthrough of Persona 5, and having now seen it all the way to the end, I'm now of my brother's mindset that you would be insane to play that game without going to a guide immediately. Because, for example, what you just described about, you know, there's enemies that can one-shot you. No, there aren't. Not if you're on the guide.
Oh, what? So basically, you can spec down a line, which makes you basically invincible.
Yeah, quite easily. And also, like, so the main branch point that comes quite late on in the game is, will you get like the full ending where you go and do the 2 optional dungeons and all the rest of it, and you see the story play out, or will the story end with you being murdered? Now, those are your options. Being murdered is not a satisfying end to that game's narrative, I promise you.
I don't even know, like, that's nuts.
So you really do want to have all your social links and all your friends at 10 stars by the end of that game, or you're in some trouble because you're going to die.
And using a guide that's actually possible, is it, within the time allowed? You can max level everything.
Oh yeah, no. And if you haven't, like, you will die.
Jesus.
There is a point in the game where it just goes, no.
I'm kind of glad I stopped playing.
Well, I'm not buying that game.
I'm pretty glad I've kind of put it aside then, because
I did find it one of the most fascinating. That's why I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was one of the most fascinating gameplay things to study. Where I was just like, I understand why this is pleasurable. Like the narrative is beautifully done, and you know, it's weird and Japanese in just the right way, and the concept of Persona is a fantastic concept with these like dungeons that are essentially the inner world of someone's brain that you've like walked into with your little Pokemon style monsters to go and battle the demons that are making them evil. That's fantastic, and it's all beautifully done. But Jesus Christ, if you tried to play that game legit, like, the frustration would just be off the charts, because, you know, so often the game just goes, yeah, you've only got 3 charm, and if you had 4 charm right now, I'd let you do this cool thing, but sorry, you didn't eat enough burgers, so no. And then you've got to, you know, Then you've got to reload a save and figure out, am I able to like eat enough burgers now, or is this still wrong? In which case, do I need to go to an earlier save and an earlier save? And you would just go insane. You would drive yourself mad.
Early on, one thing that did slightly annoy me, because there are so many interconnected systems in that game that aren't really explained without just trial and error. I was like, oh, there's this doctor lady. She's really hot. I want to get in her pants. Oh, but I need to have this like certain level of bravery. I think it is something to do it.
Guts.
And I guts. That was it. And I was like, how the fuck do I up my guts? I mean, what? And it took me a while to even work out what I needed to be doing to get that. And then, you know, other stuff's happening. I've got to do this for the dungeon stuff, and I need to get some lockpicks crafted. And it is like, there is a crazy amount of like time pressure in that game where it's just coming down on top of you. If it's almost like, I don't know, it's worse than real life. Like, I feel like real life, you can compartmentalize and deal with things, and, you know, a bit easier than in fucking Persona, where it's just like fucking life and death for everything. So, I
mean, inherently within the game design is this ridiculous sort of idea of time units, you know, like you're not quite sure when you start playing the game what costs time and what doesn't. So going to the juice stand and buying a glass of juice, which, by the way, gives you +1 skill for drinking it for some reason, that doesn't cost time. But going and ordering the nostalgia steak in the bar, that takes time. Eating a steak, that takes time. Going fishing, that takes time, obviously. But so does reading a book. That takes time. And so, like, you're never quite sure what actions you can perform, especially in terms of going in shops and stuff. You don't know what's going to advance you to the next section of time when you can make a choice and what's safe to do. So, I mean, the guide's all about pointing out, you know, directing you to the optimum, most efficient route to level up.
I'm impressed that there's a full, like, complete guide even available already. I mean, that's...
Well, I will say the guide has a couple of major errors in it that we had to figure out along the way.
Oh, right, okay.
Which was a fun gaming experience in itself, sort of.
What's next on the I'm going to watch my brother play on PS4 list? Then?
Well, I'm halfway through watching him play Bloodborne. That's fun. I'm enjoying watching him die a lot on Bloodborne. And Disgaea 5, which I won't even attempt to discuss on this podcast.
That's super JRPG, isn't it? Disgaea?
Oh, Disgaea. Yeah, if you don't like get wood from spreadsheets, they're not games for you.
Okay, so talking of getting wood from spreadsheets, Richard, how's your last couple of weeks been?
What the hell do you mean?
I figured you worked in an office, like, so that was enough. Just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Looking at the spreadsheets, comparing, you know, the comparative qualities of the different political parties, perhaps. There you go. There's some relevance for you.
I don't need a spreadsheet for that. I'm fine. Yeah, last couple of weeks have been okay. What have I done? I've started running again. I've started a weird diet to support my running.
There's fucking Huel shit, which keeps getting advertised on my Facebook page as well, and I just laugh every time I see you post, I'm going to give this a go, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you put that in your body? But okay, how is it?
It's delicious. It tastes like
sadness.
Kind of like sadness. I'm in tears. It tastes a bit like, a lot like ready bread, but with an aftertaste of cookie dough. So it's really delicious, considering it is basically slop.
That sounds like artificially flavored gruel, basically.
It pretty much is, and it rhymes with gruel. So I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it seems to be working. It's this weird powder. You just put water in it, shake it up, and then you've got a meal, apparently. And I don't feel hungry yet, so yeah, that's good.
Is this some kind of weird societal sort of testing thing where they're like, you know, right, all our natural foodstuffs are disappearing, you know, the environment's getting fucked. Soon there'll be no more cows, there'll be no more cattle, no more corn, all of that's going. So we're just going to have this like protein paste. That's all that's going to be left. Let's start programming people so that they actually accept that as an alternative food stuff. I think maybe you're some part of some like large testing thing, where they're going to just like use you to then sort of be an advocate for this product into the distant dystopic future that we're approaching.
You might not be far wrong, Ben, because I think the American equivalent is actually called Soylent.
No, fucking...
No, he's right. He's right. I can confirm.
It makes me think of those protein bars from what was that film on a train? Oh god, a good film. Snowpiercer, where they're eating mashed up bugs, but they don't realize because they come out in these gelatinous like protein bars, and it's all just like cockroaches mashed into this paste. And that's what they're eating and stuff. But of course, Silent Green is the most famous example. So I'm glad you're enjoying that, Rich. Awesome. Me and you have both seen some of the same films as well, haven't we? We both went to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, what did you think of Guardians?
I very much enjoyed it.
The first one, is it? But
no, it's not as good as the first
one.
Fun. Yes, definitely still fun. At this point, I think you know what to expect, really, don't you, from films like this? I mean, like, you know, if you're a Marvel guy, you're going to enjoy it. If you like the Marvel films, it's very good fun. One of the better ones, definitely.
I kind of got what I expected out of it, but I certainly did not expect Microsoft hardware fan service for 10-year-old devices.
That's weird. But it was also quite clever because it's like, you know, let's pick the failed piece of music hardware.
Yeah, but it's so failed, no one knows what that is.
But I did. I cracked up when that gag came on at the end. Then again, I noticed nobody else did. And I was like, oh, it was just that gag was just for me. So that was that. No, I like that. It was nice. There's some good stuff in there. It was weird though. It's quite rare that I could say in a Marvel film that I was actually missing a decent bad guy. I actually thought Ronan and the Ronan Thanos double team from the first one was much better than the bad guy in this, but I don't want to spoil who it is, obviously. So I thought, you know, they were much stronger adversaries than what we got in this one. But a lot of very cliched, on the nose kind of storytelling 101 stuff, wasn't there? But, you know, wrapped up in a very enjoyable package. You know, it's not going to win any awards for narrative, but good enough.
It's just really funny. There's plenty of laugh out loud moments throughout the film.
Yeah. I also saw though, like, I bring this up because obviously it's video game related and it got so much hate. I'm just wondering if you guys have seen the Assassin's Creed film.
No.
No. Is that the one with Fassbender?
Yeah. I'd be curious what you guys think if you do get around to seeing it, because I mean, I watched it and then I went online to look it up because I remember it's got like 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like, okay, I'll accept this is not the world's best film, but no way is it that bad. Not even close to being that bad. I mean, like, you've got some very good performances. You've got a very, you know, bits like the World of Warcraft movie, an overly faithful adaptation, perhaps, of the source material. But at the same time, the balance between the modern stuff and the historical stuff, Fassbender gives a great performance. You know, with the little material he has to work with, I think he does a good job. Looks great. You know, it's got really interesting sort of like flair to it, cinematic style to it. I just wondered, but if nobody else has seen it, I can't really. I was interested in a counterpoint, but I just assumed one of you had seen it and hated it. That was all. Based on the 70%.
That film is getting no money. I'll watch it when it comes on Netflix.
It won't be long, I suspect. But no, I just fancied a silly action movie to do with video games or something. Or not, it was Friday night or something, and I was just like, yeah, I'll plump a tenner down on that. I'll watch that on Xbox Video. Why not? And yeah, I had a good enough time. Me and the wife both enjoyed it, so I don't feel like I wasted my money or anything. But yeah, I was just very surprised. There was so much hate. A lot of people said it was boring. I didn't get that, but okay.
Well, what do they want? It's faithful to the games.
Yeah.
Is it mostly just 90 minutes of him collecting flags?
No, I think it's got a pretty good plot. Like, honestly, I really enjoy myself. However, I will say the best thing right now that you guys all need to be watching, if you haven't already, is American Gods. Like, has anybody seen the first episode of American Gods?
No, I don't even know what it is. Explain.
Well, American Gods is a novel written by Neil Gaiman, which is to do with the sort of this idea.
It's good that. Move on.
Yeah, moving on. I just thought I'd leave a long pause just to make sure everybody understood how bad that joke was. Yeah, that was the goal there. But no, it's about like a modern pantheon of gods have come. You know, gods are basically powered by the faith that people have in them, and a modern pantheon has come to power. Like things, I don't want to go into details. I don't want to spoil it because half the fun is discovering who the new gods are. But the new gods kind of are competing with the ancient gods, like, you know, Odin and things like that you remember from the different pantheons of history and stuff like that and myth, and it's to do with sort of following a particular character through his interactions with them. And the TV show is super stylish. Brian De Palma's I think he's involved, I want to say, possibly. I might be wrong about that. It's Brian somebody is the showrunner. Probably not De Palma now I think about it, but anyway. and it's really hyper violent, and Ian McShane's in it, and he's great. It just chews up the scenery, and it's really well made and really, really fun, and everybody should check it out. Yeah, it's really cool right now. I'm surprised none of you have seen it. Does nobody else have Amazon Video?
No.
Yeah, I have, but I just progressed incredibly slowly through TV series. That's the problem. I'm still probably a few years back, so I'll probably get round to this kind. Well, I'm currently watching Black Mirror on Netflix. Actually, have anyone seen Black Mirror?
Yeah,
these guys
several
love it.
times.
I was going to say it's one of the best things I've seen in years. I'm finding it. There are some episodes that are pretty poor, actually, but for the most part, some of them are just exceptionally fantastic. I'm engrossed completely, and so is my wife. I'm really, really enjoying it. Just getting to, I think, the very end of the third series, which I think is all there is available at the moment. But yeah, it's been.
Is this from the beginning? Then you've watched all three.
Yeah,
series?
yeah. Not. I've not seen it before. So literally over the past 3 weeks, we've been working our way through it. Yeah, the first episode I think is the poorest, but after that it's just incredible. I think it's really good. So
what was the first one? Is that the Prime Minister?
First one's the
Prime Minister and the pig. Yeah.
See, this is why I made a point actually of watching like American Gods from episode 1, because I've missed so many of these awesome event TV shows, and I'm always telling myself, oh, I'll go back and check it out, like, you know, like Westworld and Legion and stuff like that. Everybody's talking about them, and I've just not watched any of them, and they're just sat on my Skybox. So I was like, right, American Gods, I'm interested. I'm going to watch this from episode 1 so I can be up to date with other people who are watching it and like get in on that kind of what do they call it, the water cooler mentality of being able to discuss something as it's airing. And that's why I made a point of doing it. But yeah, I always Black Mirror. I've watched the first episode of season 3, and that's it. So I really do need to watch. I know I'd love it. But I'd love Westworld as well, and I'd love Legion and all the rest of it. So when do you find the fucking time? Yeah. However, I am totally up to date with Riverdale, and that's brilliant.
Well, good.
But I won't even try to convince you guys because it's crappy
Black
teen
Mirror.
novels.
Black Mirror is an odd series in that I adore it completely, and I'm a huge advocate for it. And yet I will concede it's probably got about a 50% hit and miss rate. Like maybe it's a bit better than that, but there are certainly weak episodes, and it's just you stick with it because when it's good in a way that no other television series I've seen in a long time can really reach. Like Charlie Brooker understands technology, and the technology in his sci-fi, his near future sci-fi, is right in a way that it never is in anything else. And so just being able to watch a sci-fi series that deals with technology as it exists in the modern world is just quite wonderful.
Yeah, he certainly captured that really well. It's not so much the technology that's far-fetched, it's the stories he's articulated around them that are pure genius and stuff. There's one particular episode we were both watching, me and my wife, and you know, at first we were just like, we can't really see where this is going. This doesn't feel like it's going to be a good episode. And then suddenly, you know, as it gets to about 40 minutes in, the twist happens, and you suddenly realize, just, you know, God, this was actually really good. You just have to wait until near the end of the episode to understand it in its entirety. It was brilliant. So yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Is that the one? I think possibly I have where they keep the two girls keep going back to the nightclub. Yeah. I've seen that one. Yes.
Okay, I really do want to watch this. You guys, whenever you guys talk about it, which Adam and Richard often do, they get me so hyped for it, and then I proceed to forget to watch it.
You should at least watch that one. You should watch the one with the two girls going to the nightclub all the time.
I might go back to the beginning and just skip the Prime Minister one, because
I would start from season 1, episode 2, because I think even some of them from that point on are really good.
The Prime Minister one is like, I like it as a piece of television. It isn't a Black Mirror episode in the way that the others are. So yeah, definitely skip that.
Its main problem is that it's dated so badly because it came to be true. So.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's also like, although like Black Mirror is obviously very far-fetched, it's worth mentioning that, for example, last week a company announced that it was making robotic bees to pollinate flowers. Hashtag Death2 trended for another day immediately. You know,
I think that's the case of the best sci-fi, isn't it? It's quasi-prophetic. That's always best sci-fi every time. Right. But before we get into the game stuff, I just wanted to go to Richard and go, Richard, did you actually watch Payback?
Oh, I did.
Yeah. You sound surprised.
I haven't. So I've watched the first match, and then I got bored. And
if you're only going to watch one match from Payback, that's an odd match to watch.
It was the first one on. I mean, it was...
All right.
That is a fair point.
I would have skipped that one. Oh dear.
I can't remember the running order now. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Can you remember any of the
Some
matches?
good
I read
matches.
I read the results on the card and stuff, but I didn't.
So you haven't seen the House of Horrors match?
I heard about it though. Mm.
Oh, it's a special moment.
That's a strange match. Yeah, House of Horrors was old Bray Wyatt and what's his name?
Randall Orton, I believe his name is.
Randy Orton.
Randall Orton.
In a house that is of horrors, including a wall, some dolls, and a fridge.
You missed out the ghost tractor.
The ghost tractor that drives backwards with no farmer on it.
Yeah. Are you spooked yet?
That's where it starts.
This is strong stuff, I know.
More terrifying from that, if you can quite believe it. But yeah, they knock each other around a house a bit. I'm not quite sure that was live, although it did say on the screen it was live. I think they
was well, it was daylight outside the event centre that the event was in at the time when that was shown live. So no, it wasn't live.
The magic of television.
It wasn't even vaguely live.
Mate, but it was a haunted house, so you never know.
I know. And if you're in the market for spooky doll heads, there was a lot of spooky doll heads.
Yeah. I love it when he just pulls one down and looks at it like, "What the fuck is this?"
Did Head get a cameo?
No, that would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing. Can you imagine if he'd just been there amongst the others, just sat there? That's what they should have done.
Sad and forgotten.
Yeah. Nothing more horrific than the dreams of a retired wrestler.
It was,
yeah, that would have been great. Yeah, but there was a couple of good matches. The
you're not even so convinced yourself, mate. You know,
I'm trying to think.
I can tell you what the good matches were. Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Hardy Boys was a pretty good match.
That was the good one because it involved massive teeth damage.
It did. That involved Jeff Hardy having his teeth kicked out. And I would argue that the Cruiserweights match was also very good. Aries and Neville are still good together and still...
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting. That was the second
finish,
match.
though.
That was the second match. And I saw the beginning of it. And I thought the best thing was when Booker T said, Neville decided to quit his weight division and go down to a lower one so he could be the winner. And I was like, oh, that's making him sound real strong. So I was like, okay, cool. Good commentary there from Booker. I like Booker on the mic, though. I always
put over the talent, Booker. Put him over.
Yeah. Yeah, but those two, they should just wrestle forever, those two. They're easily the best things in that division, without a doubt. But, I also, what was it? I heard that Sheamus and Cesaro had a heel turn off the back of that match. So that's good.
Yep, they did.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun to see what they do with that. But the biggest problem for me with this whole card was that it was matches that were booked prior to the Superstar shakeup. So you already kind of knew that certain things had to play out in certain ways. So it was kind of a bit redundant.
But then they did use that to swerve you completely.
Did they? Which one was that?
The main match that you're talking about there, the one that was the most predictable, where everyone in the world went, well, obviously Jericho can't win the
and then he did. Yeah.
US Championship. Well, he did.
Yeah, well, most people were predicting that because he was going back on tour, so they didn't think he'd
dropped it on Tuesday.
It's
very silly.
Oh, did he actually drop it on the SmackDown?
He dropped it. He dropped it the next night. Back to Kevin Owens, I think. I can't remember.
Oh, really? How boring! What pointless waste of time. Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. Just a swerve for the sake of a swerve.
I haven't even looked at the Raw and SmackDown results for this week. What else? Alexa Bliss, I saw took the title, first woman to hold both Raw and SmackDown titles. That's kind of cool.
Well, it was Bayley's hometown title defense, so we know how that goes.
Yeah, of course. Right, makes sense.
Send the fans home happy. WWE, always sensible.
They always do it. The only time I've seen that not go that way is when Naomi won at WrestleMania. That was the only time I've seen it not in recent years.
I swear, I think it's an extended rib at Bret Hart. I think it's just Vince every week going, do you see everyone else is happy to do it, Bret? What's wrong with you?
just sends him like a Facebook message each week. Done it again, Bret. Just saying. Done it again.
See, they know what's right.
I wouldn't even think that's that unlikely.
It's not impossible, is it?
No, not at all. Anyway,
I don't want to drag the wrestling chat on anymore, but if you ever get a chance to see the leaked Vince McMahon biopic script, definitely check that out. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, okay. That'd be kind of cool.
Vince basically wants him depicted as some sort of Jesus-like figure. Like, you know. He's got... Yeah, anyway.
Well, yeah.
That's for later.
Unless there's anything you wanted to add from that, Richard, I'll move us along.
No. Well, Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe's all right. Finish kind of lame. But surprisingly enjoyable match with Strowman and Reigns, if only for the massive internal injuries that were implied at the end of the match.
And the crowd chanting, "You deserve it," at Roman Reigns as he bleeds from the mouth.
Vicious. I love it.
The best thing.
Thank you, Strowman. Thank you, Strowman.
Jesus.
Cruel crowd.
Well, everybody hates Roman, don't they?
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's so over the top. I love it. Okay, let's get away from the wrestling before Joel. I just half expect to look at the little window there in Google. Just hanging from a noose from his light. Like, please let them stop talking about wrestling. Okay, do you know what? Let's talk about something fresh, interesting, isn't from the same script, isn't a repeat of something that's happened again and again and again. That's the announcement trailer of Call of Duty World War II. Fresh, original, brand new concept. We've never seen this before. A World War II set in Call of Duty set, you know, in the greatest generation, 1943 to 45. It's gonna be exciting, yeah, guys. You hype, you feeling it, There's a zombies mode again.
The bit in the trailer that I really liked was on the beach where there's all the soldiers in the boat.
Yeah.
On the beach.
Who would have thought we'd ever seen a video game representation of the Normandy landing, eh?
Wow.
Is that in there? Because I haven't watched the trailer. I was just guessing.
Oh, no.
No, it's not even. It is in there.
But yes, it's in there. Yes,
it's in there, yeah.
Just a little bit, yes. All right, okay. I don't... Fucking video game fans, man. How fickle. Just unbelievable, like, the amount of clamoring... I remember it. I guess there's new people that have grown up that didn't experience every World War II shooter that came out up to about 6 years ago, something like that. Not that long ago, it stopped that cycle of World War II first-person shooters, of which Call of Duty was one of the major ones. That won the Medal of Honor. But did people not remember the clamoring to get away from that? How much everybody just wanted to have modern set shooters and sci-fi shooters, and we're bored of World War II, and now the reaction online is, oh, thank God we're finally going back to World War II. It's what we've wanted to do all along. And it's just like, you're a bunch of fucking retards, aren't you?
I've even seen like list articles produced that are like, hey, what will Call of Duty do with the World War II setting? As if that's not where they started. Like, they were a World War II game first. The Modern Warfare was called Modern Warfare because it was like, it's Call of Duty, but in the present day. And now it's like, oh, I wonder what that would be like in World War II. It's just funny.
Well, I mean, at least when Battlefield went back, they went back to World War I, right? Which, for all intents and purposes, plays like a World War II shooter. But, however, there is enough freshness and difference about that, so it stood out last year and was actually really, really fucking good. This just feels like... I was watching the interview with, I think it's Sledgehammer. Is it Sledgehammer on this one? Can anybody confirm? I can't remember off the top of my head which one of the three developers it is. I don't think it's Treyarch because they're the Black Ops 3 guys. I want to say Sledgehammer. But anyway, they're interviewing them at their studio, and they're like, yeah, it was a real challenge to go back to World War II after doing things like jump packs and spaceships. And, yeah, trying to think of how to make that feel authentic and really convey the sense of boots on the ground, which I've heard now about 4,000 times in the coverage of this, which is their sort of hot button sort of phrase. I mean, yeah, of course it's fucking difficult. I mean, this is a trailer which is like punctuated by the sound of the M1 Garand reload. It's like, you remember this? Ka-ching! Fucking love that, don't you? You're hard now. And it's just like, oh God, seriously. I just don't even know what this is. How can anybody be excited for this? I mean, it looks okay.
I don't think any of us are we? We're all kind of...
We're a bunch of jaded, miserable
I haven't even watched the trailer. I couldn't really care less, to be honest, about the Call of Duty series of games, really. Though.
It is Sledgehammer, by the way. Just checked.
Thank you. I thought it was. I was 95%. I mean, what? I mean, okay, you've not watched the trailer. Richard, have you actually not watched the trailer?
No, I genuinely haven't.
Right, Richard's not watched it. Adam, you've not watched the trailer?
No, I've watched the trailer. Close your eyes and imagine what you think the trailer is. That's the trailer. I mean,
Yeah, well, I've seen
there
the
isn't
trailer.
a frame of it. It's not what you expect.
I mean, one thing that I thought was quite cool is that they're going to try and create dramatic tension, not from the enemies, like having a big bad guy to fight against, because they're Nazis. We already know that. They're going to create the tension between the conflict between, I think it's the sergeant and the lieutenant or something like that, running your squad, and how they have differing opinions on sort of how to deal with the mission that they're on. So there's going to be one of them's like, it's all about getting my boys home. The other one's about, oh no, we have to complete the mission at any cost. It doesn't matter how many of the guys die doing it. And I think that could be interesting. You're going to be playing as this like rookie character throughout the entire campaign. So what they've said is that you won't be able to do anything that he wouldn't be able to do. So it's going to be grounded in that way. You're going to get quite I guess, and they're trying to make a fairly authentic feeling single player experience. Some of the visuals look nice, however, not mind blowing. I thought Battlefield looked better last year already based on this trailer. And then they're talking about there's going to be a big more kind of like, basically stealing from Battlefield, the idea of these big more open, larger scale multiplayer engagements. And there's going to be a Nazi zombies mode, which Adam probably can actually talk about Nazi zombies quite.
I can in some length if you want.
Yeah, so he knows quite a lot about that. I do feel like that concept isn't played out at all. What do you? More fucking zombies, really? More?
Well, World War II zombies. Who could possibly put the two together?
I feel like what it really is a good sniper rifle, though, Adam.
It probably does, yeah. And X-ray shots of testicles being destroyed.
I tell you what, that makes everything better. It really does. I really enjoyed Sniper Elite 4. But anyway,
I will stick up for the
Call of Duty then. Are they going to stick around in the World War II era? Are we going to see World War II next year?
Well, because of the cycle and how there's 3 developers work on the different games, next year is Treyarch, which would theoretically be Black Ops 4, unless they change to something else. I don't think they'll move all of it back to World War II. I'm just very disappointed that Infinite Warfare got the negative response it got by people just not even willing to try it. It was genuinely the best campaign they've done in a very, very long time. You can pick it up right now, Infinite Warfare, guys, by the way, on Amazon for about $12.99. And I would say for $12.99, that campaign is definitely worth a go. It's a really, 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 really good science fiction shooter. The multiplayer was not good at all, I didn't think, but the campaign itself was excellent. I just think, like, I guess the tricky part is what else do you do? Like, you've gone forward, people aren't buying it and they're not enjoying it, so I guess you have to go back, don't you? I mean,
well, Call of Duty Agincourt. That's what I want.
Present day EU warfare. Let's have that.
What about a Call of Duty focusing on UN peacekeeping forces in, say, Bosnia Herzegovina? That would be an interesting conflict to do, wouldn't it? You can't. No, we know they're committing atrocities, but you can't intervene. You've just got to watch. Sorry, just let it go. You got a blue hat. Let it go.
I think a Call of Duty set in the Napoleonic Wars would be excellent. I'd be very interested in that.
I think they should do one where you actually play a soldier who's come back injured from conflict, and the actual struggle you potentially have to go through when your government won't support you after the thing, and all the stress and trauma that you go through, and all of that kind of stuff about how you're trying to pick yourself up and build a life for you.
Yeah. Level 3, the DWP officers.
Call of welfare.
Works for me.
Or call of post duty. I'm just throwing out the ideas there. Yeah. Activision, get in touch. I just think it's just. I'm trying to get you guys talking about this, but you're also already like this. It's just been announced. This is the point where you should be at least a little bit optimistic before you've seen more gameplay and stuff, and you realize it is the same game that we played 10 years ago. But there isn't even that, and I mean, it's like, Christ.
Haven't they?
That's how bad this has gotten.
The problem is they've saturated their own market, haven't they? They're killing it off themselves. It's not. you know, that perhaps if the Call of Duty games were a lot more infrequent, I would be more interested in them. But I'm not interested in that annual cycle kind of thing. Otherwise, we'd probably only talk about Michael Bay Transformers movies and things like that. You know, I just can't get on board with it.
Saying that, Joel, you weren't here last week for my discussion of the Fast and the Furious 8, which I think is the greatest film to come out in the last 10 years. So, just saying, annualized sequel, that's the 8th one, and it was amazing.
Well, the other thing with the Call of Duty thing is Call of Duty and Battlefield have been in a kind of, you know, contest for the last 2 or 3 years, I feel. And the fact that Battlefield jumped to a kind of World War setting and now Call of Duty jumps to it as well, it just feels like the worst kind of bandwagon hopping. Like, I don't know, it's just very difficult to get excited at the thought of Call of Duty World War II. You've already seen it. It feels like a Me Too kind of game. It's very odd. I was surprised they did it, actually. I would have thought they'd have been more stubborn and stuck with their future war laser guns and nonsense setting, because that actually seemed to be promising.
The future war
now
thing.
Halo's off the boil because it's not like.
Well, so sadly, they did 3 games. They did 3 games with Future War, Black Ops 3, Advanced Warfare.
You know what I mean? I mean, they didn't do 3 games where you go into space and fight with laser guns.
No.
They did 1.
You don't even fight with laser guns in Infinite Warfare, to be fair.
Right.
They keep it feel quite. It still feels like a Call of Duty. That's why I couldn't understand why people didn't like it. But anyway, yes, it does feel like bad. But you know how development cycles work. They've been working on it for at least 2 years. So it's like you can't even really. It's not their fault. They do what Activision tells them, I suppose.
Of course.
They're just stuck with it, you know, which must make it very difficult as a developer when you're working on a product. And I'm sure you've been there, Adam, where you know you don't give a shit about what they're forcing you to do. And it's like, well, how good's it going to be? You know? The other thing that surprises, it's not even a World War II campaign that hasn't been done in a Call of Duty before. The fact that they've gone back to Europe post Normandy landing to focus on, I think they called the big, they did it in the Big Red one, which was the console exclusive Call of Duty that came out when they were transitioning to consoles for the first time. And that actually followed the same sort of group, the same, I don't know what, platoon, I don't know what they call it, like squad, that kind of same sort of thrust as this game. So it's not even a new World War II setting. I just like, what? They even mentioned this in their behind the scenes thing, like, oh yeah, we looked at the Italian stuff and we did consider it, and we looked at the stuff in the Pacific and we thought about that, but in the end we thought we could tell a really engaging story, you know, in Europe again, because woo.
I mean, to be generous, maybe if you're a developer now, if you actually gave a shit, maybe you look at the world and you go, do you know what? Let's not make any more games about shooting terrorists in Middle Eastern countries. Maybe it's time to get back to blasting Nazis in the face, because, you know, we could do with some of that, frankly. So maybe it's like a political thing, but it's just... Yeah, sorry, I can't muster, like, it's a Call of Duty game. It'll be a Call of Duty game. It'll be really well polished. It'll be nicely made. There'll be a multiplayer that will probably be really good, and the hardcore will hate, because the hardcore Call of Duty fans always hate the multiplayer while they play it for 80 hours a week. It's going to be that. It's just hard to get, like, excited. There's nothing new here.
It's fair. It's fair enough, man. Absolutely. Okay, we'll move on to the next bit of news, which is actually, I think, really cool and exciting, and is different and fresh, and I'm pretty sure Richard's excited about this. So, announced, I believe it was last week, coming out in the next few days, is the new DLC expansion for Forza Horizon 3, which is Hot Wheels. And it's proper fucking Hot Wheels. There's 4 interconnected islands off the coast of Australia with full-on orange Hot Wheels tracks all over them. It looks go and watch this trailer. I wet myself with excitement.
For old people like me, if you ever played Stunt Car Racer, fucking hell, it's back.
I just thought,
so good.
Take the best racing game this generation and somehow make it better. Like, I don't even know how that's possible. And it just looks, wow. I'm so excited. Richard, have you got anything you wanted to add other than wee?
Well, what else can you say? Really simple concept. It looks incredible, and I'd forgotten I'd already paid for the expansion pass.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, brilliant. Something I didn't expect to see coming, and I haven't got to pay any money for it. So I'm well excited. It's going to be amazing.
you know, fully licensed as well. I mean, like, you know, it's interesting because GTA Online just did a sort of stunt car racing thing as well. But theirs is like a knockoff and stuff. You know, it's not as good as the real thing. And this is going to have, like, obviously, this has got the tracks. They look just like I remember playing with them when I was, you know, 10 years old, when I had, you know, a shoebox full of cars and a big box full of these stupid plastic tracks. And you do the loops and the corkscrews and the silly jumps and all that crazy shit. And it's all going to be in there. And it looks fucking fantastic. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot in 2 weeks' time, where me and Richard have spent that entire 2 weeks probably playing it. So I am hype for that, like crazy. And it just came out of nowhere, like no leaked information. Here's a video. This is the DLC, and I was like, what? How did that not get out? This is the coolest thing ever. So no, I'm really.
When I saw the trailer for it, yeah, when I saw the trailer for it, I expected there to be controversy about it. Has there not been controversy about this?
No. What would the controversy be?
Because I imagine Forza Horizon picked up a decent share of Forza's audience, and Forza's audience are beardy, chin-stroking, you know, gear ratio
Horizon,
types.
no. Not Horizon.
Does Horizon genuinely not have that market at all? Like, people are just fine.
The handling Horizon
kind of car nonsense.
So basically, Horizon and the main Forza series are developed in parallel between two different studios, and Playground Games, and they share tech and they share their developments, like with the car handling and the physics modeling. But Horizon is very much the inheritor of the PGR, the Burnout Paradise crowd. That's what it's become. It's I think it's possibly the coolest exclusive Xbox has. I think it was probably the best exclusive last year, without a shadow of a doubt. And it is, in my opinion, with this DLC especially, is great reason to own a fucking Xbox. Like, holy crap, this is gonna be fucking amazing. And hopefully they'll stick out a Game of the Year edition, because this is the last of the DLC they've said for it as well. So there'll probably be a Game of the Year coming at the end of this year, probably to go for the Scorpio crowd. And I'm assuming they're going to talk about some 4K fancy version of this will be on Scorpio, I would very much think as well. So I think this is going to be a fucking cool package when they sell that for 30 or 40 quid. But yeah, it's just everything you'd want. The game is so big. I'm still playing it. Like, I was playing it just last week. There's so much in there to do. And I know Richard sunk some serious time into it as well.
And more than the other Forza games, they're all big. But Horizon 3 is big in a way that you're like, holy shit, I'm still enjoying this, rather than there's so much more to get through, you know?
I'll tell you what would be nice, Richard, if they get this on Scorpio and they can cut down on the loading times. That would be fucking awesome. Can you imagine how good that would be? Just snap.
They're not particularly egregious, are they? But
you do notice them, because the races sometimes are quite short, and you're like, oh, I've got to load into each race and load back out, and like, you know, so it'd be nice to see if they can cut down on all that. That'd be great. Also, one of the best soundtracks last year by Mark, like fantastic music. But anyway, yes, we will.
I just watched the trailer for that. It does look. It looks quite fun and exciting. One thing I did notice in the trailer, figure 8 tracks.
Yes.
So just in case you guys have never come across this, there is a real American figure 8 racing league, and you can actually watch videos of it on YouTube, and it's unbelievable just to watch people doing this figure 8 racing. It's just, I can't believe anyone lets people do that kind of stuff. It's crazy. So I won't go into any more detail, but yeah, I reckon that would be fantastic in multiplayer in a game.
There's figure 8 racing in this country as well. There's plenty of it. Henchman Raceway, Banger Racing. It's a real thing.
I'm not sure I'd count it as actual racing. It's more an excuse to deliberately crash.
Saying that, I want to mention this. I'm sure me and Joel sat through the Russian Grand Prix for Formula One at Sochi, and that could have really done with some figure 8, because that was one of the most boring things I've seen in a long fucking time. So, would you agree, Joel?
Yeah, the racing, although the race kind of got a little bit exciting towards the very end of it, with a potential is there going to be a sort of last lap switch for the winner. Formula One generally is, it's all strategical, it's all pit lane. There's not too much real wheel to wheel excitement.
This is a race, and this is related to some news that we're going to bring up. This is a race that had no overtaking in the entire race other than on the first lap. That's bad. Like, you don't have to know anything about racing to know that makes it a boring race, really. But in relation to the video game news, McLaren and Honda are doing this thing where they're going to go and find the best video game races in the planet, and you will win a year contract for being a tester, like a virtual tester for the F1 cars. at McLaren if you are deemed the best racer.
On their
I'm not
simulator.
the best racer, but I'm tempted to try anyway because fuck, that would be amazing. Would that not be cool, Joel? I know. I'm guessing you put that news story in. 'cause
Yeah, no, I came across it and I thought I'd just put it on there because I know
Mm.
you're a fan of F1 and things. I think the interesting. I was trying to find out. I was expecting there would be a specific game that they were looking for players for, probably like F1 2017 or 2016, basically. But no, it seems it's any kind of racing game. It's very general, and although they haven't gone into specifics, they're also it's open to people in the mobile gaming market as well. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see. What the kind of heats and qualifiers and how the whole thing comes together. But it's nice to see another big company getting involved in esports.
I like the idea of a Mario Kart 8 champion going up against like what is it, iDriver or that really sim heavy one on PC.
Project Cars.
Or Project Cars guy, yeah. And then the guys go, "Where are my fucking power ups?" And the guy's all changing his brake diff and stuff like that for the corners. It's just like blue shell, blue shell, blue shell. And that'd be quite.
I just like the idea of mobile gaming coming into Formula One. You know, Alonso can just pull over, buy some power ups on his phone. Suddenly, I'm twice as fast. Hooray!
Well, the sad thing is, to be fair, Adam, that I suspect most of these drivers will be faster than both Alonso and mate this year in F1 anyway. Because their car is fucked right now.
Well,
so,
I mean, a boring Formula One race happened. This is not a surprise to me.
Oh, shut up! Shut up! But you're not exactly wrong. But so far the season's been really quite exciting. But that one Russia was, oh my God, so boring. But anyway, on the last piece of news I want us to talk about before we fly on into all the games and stuff and the reviews and stuff that we've been doing, Nintendo 2DSL was announced, or 2DS XL, sorry, was announced just recently. And it basically Nintendo admitting 3D, bit of a waste of time. Sorry about that. Here's a 2DS version that we said we'd never do. So
it is kind of an admission that 3D's dead, isn't it? But it's a strange one because they've still got the 3DS XL as their flagship in that range. That's still around. And it seems an odd time to write off 3D. As well as...
Well, the Switch doesn't have anything 3D, does it? So I guess, they're just saying...
Oh, yeah, but I mean, within that range, why kill it now? It's a bit late in the day to say they're going to bin it off because... It must be nearly dead anyway.
Isn't it about making a low-cost version of the hardware they can sell forever to children?
You would think so, but it isn't actually much cheaper. It's about $20 difference.
Okay, that's great.
I read that article I linked to. It said $50, $149 compared to $199, I believe.
No, I think it's $179. The 3DS XL.
Oh, yeah, fair dues, if I'm wrong.
In any case, it's not a massive difference. Certainly not the difference that the original 2DS was. And that was geared towards small children, offering them a device that they could do what they like with, and it would never be destroyed because it didn't have a hinge. It was just one big solid plastic unit. And this moves away from that. They've made it more of a, I suppose, high-end version. That's pretty much the 3DS XL without the 3D feature. That is the only difference as far as I can see.
I think perhaps Adam's kind of got the right idea though. I think I think they might EOL the 2DS normal, and then they'll get rid of the 3DS, and then you'll just be left with the 2DS XL because it'll be more easy to make. It'll be cheaper to make and with more available parts than the 3DS stuff, which is obviously more specialized. So then you just see those two fade away slowly over the next couple of years, and then you're just left with this 2DS XL. As a companion piece to the Switch. But what that does mean to me is that we all were assuming with the Switch announcement, weren't we, that they were going to basically disappear the handhelds, a specific handheld market, and this was going to be the one thing for both. But it does seem to be that they're acknowledging that there's two very separate markets here, and that maybe they're not confident the Switch would work as a proper mobile alternative. So
it does, but probably not for long enough. And that's the advantage that the DS range has, is that the batteries last a hell of a long more times than the...
But come on, we're going to get Switch. We're going to get Switch hardware iteration at the latest, beginning of next year, yeah? Surely there'll be a new version of the Switch hardware which has got better battery and fancy pants things that don't scratch the screen and tweaks and improvements.
That's a hell of a lot of disruption to the existing market because it's not just a replacement device; it's all the replacement accessories as well, potentially.
No. I mean, what? No. Why would there be replacement accessories? I'm talking about an internal upgrades, not so much external to the unit.
Internal upgrades will happen transparently all the time. There'll be many variants of the same hardware model with different RAM chips and bits like that. So that could have already happened, but I don't think they'll do any major changes to what they've got. They may slip a subtle tweak in to fix some minor faults or improve the wireless reception or something, but you'll never know about it. They'll never market it as a new Switch.
Oh, come on, they're going to put a bigger battery in it. And they're going to totally play that as the XL because it's an extra large battery, and they're going to charge you $50 more for it.
I don't think they'll have any space for a new battery. I think it's already quite compact in there, and I think they've probably put the most cost-effective for the size battery in that they could. And the battery life's not too bad. It depends. It varies on which game you're playing, but I just don't think Nintendo. I think inevitably the Switch and the Switch, future iterations of it will sort of combine the handheld market and the console market. That's where they're going, but they're just not confident enough that that's going to happen immediately, and now is the time to just ditch the 2DS 3DS market yet. So I think there's going to be several years down the line.
I'm going to put a line in the sand here. Then by this time next year we will have a Switch with 3 times the battery life, so up to 10 hours, and with 4 times the storage of around 128 gig internal right now, and they'll ask for another 50 quid for it. So that's this time next year.
Yeah, I'd
take that bet. I think
I'll put a 10 on it.
If it was Sony or Microsoft hardware, I'd think you were probably right. But Nintendo, I think it's unlikely they'll do that.
Okay, fair enough. I'll be on my own on that one, and you can all shower me with praise when I'm right. But talking about the Switch, though, Joel, you just picked one up, didn't you?
Yeah. Look, it's here. So this is kind of going back to what Adam was talking about earlier, like how much you can spend for one game, basically. Sadly, I didn't walk into game, and I didn't take your consumer advice of just asking them for a pre-owned one and getting them to open the new one. But I bought it came back in stock on Amazon, and I couldn't resist, basically. And I got Zelda, and it is very good. It's just massive. It's just. That's the biggest. Like, even when everyone tells you it's massive, it's not until you play it. Yeah, you just start unraveling each area of the map, and you just begin to think, yeah, this is big. This is. I think it's possibly bigger than something like Skyrim, or with regards to the size of the map and things like that, and yeah, it's amazing. The size of
it doesn't tell the story, though, does it, Joel?
It's
all and big. Everywhere you go, there is something there to do.
The detail within the world as well. Yeah, absolutely. It's not just a large, vast, open area, kind of like Daggerfall or some classic like that. This is intricately. I struggle to get the story progressing because I want to explore every nook and cranny. I'm one of those awful people who, when you're told to go to the next main quest marker, has to explore everything I see on the horizon between that point and where I get to. So it takes me years to get these things progressing, and this is just so full of little
that
things.
Way though. I mean, there is very little in the way of main quest line in Zelda. You can just go straight to the castle and finish it from the beginning if you wanted to. So yeah, you're playing it right. It is all about finding those shrines and just uncovering the secrets across the world. And there's so much there.
Have you both got the season pass?
I have.
I haven't yet, no, but it will probably be on my list to purchase when there's actual content to go with it.
I suppose that's one of the benefits of owning a console that doesn't have any games on it. You can afford the season pass. That's good. That's good.
It's got some Mario Kart 8 just came out. I haven't got it myself, but I was down the pub last week and someone was playing it. I sat and watched him for a while, and it
didn't invite you to play.
No, he was very unsociable. We were just talking about it.
Dickhead.
That's how good it was. That's how good it was. He wouldn't let me play it with him.
He didn't bung you a Joy-Con and be like, hey, let's go find a roof garden somewhere. Just the two of
No,
us.
I think he actually felt a bit uncomfortable because he was just gone down to quietly play it, and I was walking past and was like, "Oh, is that Mario Kart 8? Can I stand and watch for a minute?" And I think that creeped him out actually.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Not like you knew the guy. So that would make me feel a bit uncomfortable. I'm like, you're funny dude, stood next to me.
Slowly, silently masturbating over it.
Dripping a pint on my head. What's he doing?
He's waiting for his roof terrace party. When he gets home, he's going to get it out and play with all his friends then.
But you were just walking down the street and you were like, "Oh, are you playing with yourself? Can I watch?"
Literally.
Richard, you've actually been playing Mario Kart 8 though, yeah?
I have been playing Mario Kart 8, and it's good in the way that Mario Kart is good. I don't know. There's a bit of Emperor's New Clothes in Mario Kart. Do you not think? Anyone? It's always got. No, it's always got bits in it that are just really annoying. Like you'll do get these Grand Prix bits where you've got to do 4 tracks in a row, and if you win them all, then you get 3 stars. But one of them you'll get just taken out with blue shells and red shells for no real reason. There's nothing you could have done about it, and it'll just totally destroy your run. And it makes you think this isn't quite as good as everyone says it is. And then you play again, and you do all right, and then it's fun again. So yeah, it's a weird one. I don't think it's quite as well designed as you would expect Nintendo games to be. But Mario Kart 8 is probably the best of them that I've played so far, and looks pretty nice. It's dead good on Switch, having that portable. And,
do you know what?
Do you know what surprised me? Well, so multiplayer is good.
Do you know what surprised me about Mario Kart 8? And I haven't really thought about it because I haven't played a Mario Kart since, God, like SNES maybe. I don't know, long time. Wow. But I'm certainly not owned one anyway. What really surprised me is when I was reading about it today, it was just like you have to accelerate by pressing the A button. I was like, a driving game that doesn't use the triggers? What? Yeah. What now? Come again? I don't understand.
Well, it doesn't even have real triggers, so you know, it's not like you're missing out on that analog fun. They're not
just the idea though, you know, with Forza with its on the Xbox with its, you know, the trigger recognition, you know, you put 10%, 15%, all of that is like a one-to-one analog sort of like connection to depending on the, you know, the speed and so you can balance the traction in the corners compared to go full speed stop. Yeah. That just seems really I can't really imagine that.
Until you get to 200cc races, you've got different speed style, so you can go from 50 to 100, 150 through to 200cc races, and 200cc races are defined as tracks where you need to use the brake. It actually says that. So everything up until that point, the majority of the time when you're playing the game, you are literally just holding accelerate and never coming off it. All you're doing is just drifting around corners and building up your boost. So it doesn't really feel like a serious driving game. It's probably never intended to be. It's just a bit of party fun for your roof garden, which it does very well.
I guess to me it's a case of the kart racer, and it's like, well, I've not really cared about kart races in 20 years. I guess, like, you know, it's impressive. It's impressive that, you know, this is the one kart racer that still exists and is still hugely popular, and that has endured mainly because of the license associated with it.
And because it's the only one that anyone ever puts any effort into. Like if you go and play any of the other kart racers, you can feel the apathy of the developers from the first second. I mean, oh my word!
I mean, there are kart races.
I mean, is it Sumo Digital? They did the Sonic transformed ones. They were supposed to be pretty good.
Oh, I never played them, to be fair.
I mean, I was just going to say there are kart races
back
on
to Diddy Kong as well, and Diddy Kong, although it was overly hard. I do wish they'd do something like that with Mario Kart, some sort of story mode.
Yeah.
You say they put effort in. I don't really think they do put enough in. Because the bare bones of it is there. The tracks are nice. All the characters from Nintendo that you love are there. That's great. But there's not enough done with them. Considering it's not really a genuine competitive game, you'd expect there to be some sort of single-player component that they could just play around with the characters a bit. But they've never done it.
But there's also, I think there's an appeal in the fact that the single-player campaign in Mario Kart is always just the same as the multiplayer, only you're on your own. Like, you know, you are just racing the same tracks and you're essentially just practicing for beating your dad. Also, I think you undersell the tracks. I've seen video of people playing Mario Kart 8 and holy crap, the tracks. Wow.
Yeah. It does get a bit F-Zero. Yeah, it's actually got F-Zero tracks in there.
Yeah, it does. Like, they have pushed the boat out a long way from their usual track design, I think, on this. Yeah. They're incredible.
Well, you just intoned something that would make me want to buy a Switch even more, and that's F-Zero. I always preferred F-Zero. That is a fucking amazing game.
Yes.
Yeah.
F-Zero on the GameCube was a game I played a lot.
Yeah. What was the F-Zero? I can't remember which one it was. I played a lot of F-Zero on a handheld, probably a GBA SP.
Yeah, I think I played a lot of a Game Boy Advance one, yeah.
Which was, I remember that being amazing. So, yeah.
I used to play the N64 one to death. And the best feature I loved about that one was, it was high frame rate. You had 30 racing cars. You could destroy the opponents in the races. It was entertaining. And then once you unlocked it all, they had the X League, which was basically just 5 randomly generated tracks. And every now and again, you would get one with a huge boosting long straight and a 90-degree bend at the end, which meant everyone would go hurling along. And then all you and the computer players would just go off the track and blow up, and that would be the end of the race. No one did it. It was absolutely so well done. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that would be a cool franchise to come back. That one and Metroid would be nice to see appearing on the Switch, wouldn't it? Ooh. But okay, I will get one at some point. I will. I have to, don't I? Really, it seems inevitable. Let's be honest. So let's move on to some other games. I think the majority of us have at least tried the Prey demo at this point. I know, Adam, you put Prey down on your list of games. Is that the demo or the full game?
That's the full game.
Oh, you put the. Oh, is this your brother's PS4 again?
No, I've watched him play it on PC though.
Ah, okay. And I think that the rest of us have played the demo, probably.
Yep. Yeah, I played that today. I gave it the full game.
So, as you've played the full, or at least you've been playing the full game, or seen the full game being played, Adam, so you've probably done more than just that opening hour. Please tell me this is more than just Dishonored in space, because I really didn't like Dishonored 2 very much. So,
okay. I mean, I can tell you that. It won't be true.
I fucking knew it.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, me and my brother, I was watching my brother play it, and we were sat there and we were going, so what's wrong with this? Because it's got all the sort of Deus Ex-y stuff. It's doing that whole Bethesda RPG first-person shooter thing. It's got a pretty cool concept for the enemies, these mimics that turn into inanimate objects and then jump at you. You know, like it's kind of in that survival horror-y mold. There's a really nice resource system in there where you're basically just mashing every piece of garbage you find in the world into these trash compactors, and then it turns them into money. Like, that's great. So why is this so boring? And we couldn't really work it out, except to say that the environment design is super plain. Everything's just like a slightly run-down space station with these white panels everywhere, you know? Like, if you compare it to something like, say, Doom, every room you go into in Doom, the first thing you think is, oh shit, something bad happened in here. That you never feel like that in Prey, and yet you should every time because something bad happened here. But no, it's just a body just neatly lying on the floor, and maybe there's a blood splat near it. But that's it. That's the full extent of the sense of a ruined environment that you're in. It's just, man, it just lacked something for me. I just felt it was boring.
That's a good point, that, you know, because my first reaction upon playing the demo, and I've played it twice actually. I did the Xbox version and the PS4 version just to see what the difference was. Yeah. But my first reaction was, well, this is a lot like BioShock, and BioShock got away with some of the quite aggressive design choices that it made by telling a story and how it laid out its levels and what was in those levels.
Yes.
So yeah, just a body line on the ground, you would not get that in BioShock. You'd have some sort of props line around it. There'd be a piano or something. There'd be some story as to what had happened before that body had in that position. And this didn't seem to have anything like that.
So when I played the demo, I like the setup. I like is it spoiler to say that the main setup, because it's a freely available demo? I'm not sure. I mean, basically, I'm gonna spoil it. If you don't want to hear, skip this bit. So the idea that, you know, you feel like, you know, you start off, you're being recruited by, I think it's your father into like a science initiative. You don't really know what's going on, and then it's like, shit goes crazy, and you go back to where you started, and it turns out you're actually in some kind of testing facility, and actually you're on a space station, and it's like, oh, I've lost my memory and all this weird stuff. I like all that. I dig all the sci-fi tricks that are on display there. I like the idea of the setting, but something about it, first of all, it felt too much like Dishonored, and I have problems with those games, unlike most people who love them. And then it just felt like Adam said, very bland and just a bit by the numbers. Yeah.
I'd even stick up for it. Like I even stick up for Dishonored to some extent, because you say it's like Dishonored, but Dishonored had a like core mechanic with your abilities where you could teleport and you could do all this crazy stuff.
Sure.
This doesn't have anything like that. It's very vanilla.
I've also heard that the demo is a bit... Sorry, Joe, I will let you speak. You're coming in next. I'll cue you in next. I apologize. I just wanted to mention this. The demo gives you a shotgun really early on, which gives you a real sense of empowerment. And I've heard the game itself, that shotgun is not something you get for many, many hours later.
Unless you pre-ordered.
Oh, for real? Oh, wow, that's amazing. Okay. Which I thought when I got that shotgun, I was like, finally, I can be a bit more proactive. And in the demo, I felt like it had taken me some time to actually have that ability done. But here in the game, it can be hours later. I was like, oh, Christ, that sounds really tedious. But Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry, I was going to... I had the similar thoughts to Richard, I think. I thought that Bioshock was the obvious inspiration. I certainly didn't find the environment as atmospheric as that in Bioshock. And the other thing, I just found the combat, and I like the idea of the mimics, the enemies. They can appear as, say, I'm innocently walking along, and there's an item, I need to go pick that up, and it suddenly turns into an enemy, and it's a bit of a frantic rush. But combat was just so unsatisfying. It was so, it was so irritating. Now, I obviously missed something in this demo because I didn't get a shotgun. I merely had this rather cool goo gun, which is. I thought was quite cool actually that you could shoot goo onto the walls to create ledges to then jump up. I thought that was a pretty good idea, and the sort of stun gun.
You could do that.
No, I didn't. know that,
yeah. Oh yeah, you could shoot the goo gun on the wall. So like I used it to go up a lift shaft where the lift was broken, for example, and stuff. So it opens up exploration things. There was some really good like kind of mechanics there that try and support different approaches rather than direct combat. But actually, if you just wanted direct combat, it was just so flat and boring and actually quite hard. Trying to kill everything with a wrench, because I could switch to one of these guns, stun something, or momentarily goo it up, and then just have to walk in there and hammer it with the wrench. It wasn't as satisfying as how
deliberate though, Joel. I thought that was deliberate.
I do, yeah. I think there is certain elements of it being deliberate to try and make combat difficult, so you avoid it and approach the game in a different way. But in some senses, I think maybe I was just looking for the option to just sit back and have that, satisfying shooting of something.
Particularly after the original Prey, right? You kind of imagine that's what it's going to go for. But it doesn't. It does force you to sort of stand back and think a bit more laterally about how you're going to solve any given situation.
I think it wants to be a survival horror game. I think it's trying to be Bioshock, but with a more heavy survival horror. Because ammo's very scarce and medkits are very scarce, and you get the hell kicked out of you every time you get into a fight.
Let me talk to that horror aspect a little bit, right? So the first time a mimic did its thing and it jumped to me, I jumped. The music spiked, the thing went at me, but then it happens like even in an hour-long demo, it happened what felt like a dozen times. So it's just like, well, all the horror is gone because I'm just going to treat every inanimate object as a potential threat from now on. So therefore I'm just prepared in every situation. I walk into a room, I'm going to be waiting. And then on top of that, what made it really bad is I'd have music spikes like something had happened when nothing did. And does that happen throughout the full game, Adam? Because that bugged the shit out of me just in the demo.
I mean, we certainly had that experience. My guess, however, is that the mimic system is a bit weird. And I think sometimes creatures like a coffee cup becomes a mimic, scuttles off somewhere else and turns into a fire extinguisher. I think that happens quite a lot while you're not looking. But of course, when it does that, the game code says, oh, I've just turned a mimic into a threat, so spike the music. Because we would get that a lot, where you're just walking down a corridor and just suddenly there's a music spike, and you're like, I just feel like what was that?
What I do. Like, if I was playing the game like that, I'd just be like, well, I'm going to have to kill the music because this is ridiculous. Yeah. This is like, I'm just walking along and nothing's there. And it's like, oh, well, the fuck off. That's just cheap. It's just cheap. Yeah, fair. Oh, great. Good to know that's happened.
I've not seen the demo, so I don't know how much you've seen. Does the demo include a bit where you go outside the space station in a spacesuit and fly around?
No. Doesn't get you that far.
You get to do that? You get to fly around in space?
Cool.
That was kind of cool.
Do you know what I liked? I liked the fact that you could choose your gender, which was, I mean, it seems inconsequential, but I dug that choice was there. and I think that should be the kind of choice that's in all games like this, really. And I think that's a big Bethesda thing. Like, you know, since Dishonored 2, like you can basically pick male or female, and I think, you know, that should be an option in pretty much all games, unless it's really narratively important that you don't get that choice. I thought that was cool little touch. And like I said, I really like the setting. I kind of want to play it. I don't want to spend 50 quid on it. I'll see when it's cheap or getting the sale, which I'm pretty sure won't be that long, because it seems to be one of the B tier Bethesda games. So I expect they'll be pushing out into the sale before the end of the year.
It's full of sly little references to its inspiration as well. The main server for all the video screens is called the Looking Glass server. There's one of the first key code you get is 0451, which I remember from BioShock. I can't remember what it was, but it was, you know, it was an important code in BioShock. And there's full of little references like that are kind of like cute, but also a bit eye-rolly, because it's just like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Just to finish this off, did you guys hear why they called it Prey? You actually hear what the developer said? He basically went, naming games is really hard, and when you do then name them, you have to do lots of like checks to make sure it's not been taken. And they already had this name, so we were like, okay, cool. That's called artistic integrity.
I think we can relate to that if you've ever tried to name anything.
I just love that. There was no reason other than they had it, so we did.
There is one last thing I'd just like to say about Prey. Is obviously earlier I thought I wanted to go and play the demo and give it a try, so I turned my PC on. There isn't a PC demo, but apparently this is from the developer. If you want to play the demo on the PC, just buy the game on Steam and play it, and as long as you don't play more than 2 hours, you can get an automatic refund for it. So if anyone's on the PC and has enough money to spare to try the demo out, buy the game and Steam will refund you as long as you play it for less than 2 hours. And that's the developer's official line on the PC demo. So
weird.
You might as well make a virtue out of that grim fact.
That's so strange. Right. Okay. I think I want to talk to Joel now a little bit about a game we played quite a lot. Currently in closed beta, soon to be in open beta, and then hopefully not too much longer in full release. Currently only available on PS4, but soon to be on Xbox One, and obviously the original version is on PC. And that is Marvel Heroes Omega, which we had a really good time with, didn't we, Joel? That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good blast actually.
I'll leave you to it. You wrote the piece, so you.
Okay, so. It's kind of a Diablo-style action RPG come MMO style game. So me, Ben, and myself got together and we tried it out basically. So the game is, as you can imagine, sort of set in the Marvel universe, and what they're kind of doing is bringing a huge swathe of Marvel characters together in a way that allows you to pick which one you want to be and go out and fight all these different villains. It's actually quite cool. So the game starts with a basic tutorial which allows you to try out some of the characters, sort of showing you how the mechanics of how you can switch at any time, into a different character and start working with their moves and things. And it's good fun. You go around, you get loot. And once you finish a tutorial, the game then kind of opens up into a few more modes. You've got the story, which basically sees you progress forwards via different story chapters, basically, and kind of pulls the story along. But the whole time you play, you're sort of switching between these kind of large public areas where you'll see other players around, and there's just like huge amounts of enemies and monsters that you can just go and grind and get right in the thick of and kill, versus these kind of smaller instance sections which are unique to your party and little boss fights and things like that. Alongside that, they've got other modes. They've got this kind of patrols mode, which I'm quite glad. Ben had previously, I feel, he played this on the PC, so he knew exactly, like, once you've got a character, you jump into this patrol mode basically, and you can use this to grind your level a bit and just to work out if you actually like the character or not. It's a better environment to do that than, say, the story. So that was quite fun. I tried out various characters. So some of them are really good fun. Some of them I think need a little bit more work. I highlighted this in some of my preview notes, so it'll be interesting to see what the developer does with that. The specific one, obviously, I was playing with Iron Man. Now Iron Man most characters kind of have a basic move, and then they have some special moves, and special moves will use your energy bar. Now, depending on what character you are, the energy bar's got a different name. You know, for Iron Man, it's called an energy bar because it draws from his arc reactor and stuff. And for other characters, they just call it other thematic things, basically. But the concept's the same, except in Iron Man's case, his basic move also uses energy bar. So what you kind of find yourself is standing there shooting, waiting for your energy bar to recharge, then start shooting it again. Whereas other characters can just use up their energy bar with their special moves, but then still just get in there and melee and grind. So, you know, that was a bit of a little bit more work, I think, to do on balancing those characters and stuff. But in general, it's great. You get these, you know, in the patrols mode, you've got this sort of, you know, events happening, kind of reminding me of Destiny's public events. Big boss or enemy turns up, and like everyone advances across the map together, and they all start hammering on this stuff, and it's all fancy. It's like flashes everywhere. It's pretty hard to tell what's going on depending on how many of you are there at times, or actually see where the boss you're attacking is, or where you are in relation to him. It gets pretty mental. Like I died at one point and didn't realize that I died. I thought the game had glitched out and teleported me back to the starting thing until Ben pointed out that, yeah, I think you died. And because I was just hammering X, I'd hammered do you want to respawn at the start or wait for someone to revive you? And I'd just chosen that before I'd even seen the prompts. It gets pretty hectic. It's good fun. It's crazy. It's chaotic. Alongside that, they've got loads of other good modes. They've obviously thinking about the longevity of the game, because this is obviously the story is only going to take you so far. So how do you keep players interested past that? They've got these kind of similar to Destiny's strike modes, basically. I think they were called operations. I can't remember the name exactly off the top of my head, but you can replay any of the story chapters, but they've increased the difficulty of the enemies, the amount of enemies. They throw in some extra challenges like, can you do this and kill this many of this type of enemy as you go through, and that kind of thing. And the whole idea is you party up, you're getting better loot, you're getting better items. That's what you know, developing your character and things. There's lots to it, and the real surprise you can imagine, you know, I've already described what sounds like quite a big gaming experience. Is this is actually going to be free to play when it launches. There won't be, I think from you get into the game, you'll get enough of the in-game currency to get you one hero. So post the tutorial, you'll have to decide which hero you want, and from that point on, you can play the game and you can grind your way to earn the in-game currency to unlock other heroes, or you can obviously open your wallet and put some real money. Now, one of the great ideas about this game is that actually you will be able to play as any of the other heroes up until they're level 10. So you can definitely try before you buy. Now, not every hero will be available immediately. There are going to be some timed exclusivity on some of them for purchasing. I think it's about 6 months for 2 that are going to be. So you won't be able to try or for free 2 of the characters until 6 months after the game is launched. But yeah, in general, it's very generous. It's a nice idea. It's definitely great because you'll avoid the disappointment of making a rubbish purchase. For example, if I'd bought Iron Man, I'd probably been a bit cheesed off actually, because he's not turned out to, you know, he's not the kind of character that I'd like to play. So yeah, it would probably feel like a wasted purchase. So I think they've got some really good things going on. In general, the game performed really well. It seemed to have some significant slowdown, not because combat was frantic and there's too much going on the screen. It just seemed to be at the point you kill something, it's trying to decide what loots to drop. It sort of stalls for a bit of a period of time whilst it works it out. But yeah, it was a good, fun, enjoyable experience. Multiplayer.
Go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say how easy it was to party up and group together. It was pretty seamless actually. We didn't sort of spend hours faffing around trying to get into the same sort of instances and things like that. It was very seamless. So I hope that carries through to the main game as well.
I think what you were saying about some of the performance issues are totally valid. I actually went back and played some of the PC stuff a few days ago, just to remind myself what that was like. And yeah, it's a lot smoother even on my relatively old laptop. And I think it comes down to some optimization is still required on the PS4. And I think that's why this is closed beta going into open beta before full release. They're putting the work in, because you look at this game and even when it first came out on PC, I immediately thought, God, I want to play this on console. And I'm going back, like, I can't remember exactly how long it was, but it was like 4 or 5 years ago this came out for the first time. And it has evolved and changed a great deal since then. And they've really thought about the interface on the consoles with the radial menu. It's very reminiscent of the WWII on consoles as well. So that you're sort of immediately familiar. And I just had a really good time with it. I mean, if you're looking for that kind of chill out action RPG thing, but like, unlike Destiny, it's got that kind of big MMO feel to it in some of those sort of open environments, which I found really crazy fun when you've got like 10, 15 heroes, like you were saying, tackling a boss and the screen is just lighting up with people's special attacks. And it's just like looking at like 4 firework displays happening at once in the same place. I mean, it is just insane and ridiculous. And I think it understands that. The other thing to bear in mind is the PC version has like a great deal more heroes than this does to start with. I suspect they're going to be playing catch up and building towards that same kind of level of the roster. But yeah, like Joel said, such a cool idea. It's free to play, but you can try any character up to level 10. I think that's super cool of them to do that. I just had a really good time. I actually had to stop myself playing because it was a closed beta and they're about to do the wipe of all the character progress before it goes into open beta. Not to worry, though, if you bought one of the Founders Packs and whatever, you're going to get all of that refunded and stuff, and you'll get it all back. But, I was like, I want to play this. I want to get to level 60 with, like, Nova, who I found as a character I really enjoy playing as and stuff. But I might as well wait because I don't want to do it all again. So that was frustrating because I really want to fucking put some time into it. But I'm definitely coming back after the 16th when the wipe happens, and I'm definitely going to do more. As long as they promise it doesn't get wiped again between open beta and full release anyway, because I would be annoyed if they did that. But no, I think it's definitely one to keep an eye on. And I just think it'd be a really good thing to chill out to and get everybody like playing and just hanging out. I didn't find out what the party limit is, like how many players can join up together, Joe.
No, I tried to research it. I tried to research that when I was doing the preview because I'd put a placeholder in of saying 5 and brackets, and I couldn't find any information short of actually trying to build the biggest party possible in the game. So I don't actually know what the party size limit is. But that only really applies in the instant dungeons anyway. When you're in the public areas, we saw at times, or I think there was about 10 or 12 other players with us, so we know that each of the public areas has hopefully can support quite a large number of.
Now this could have been coincidental, but we were in a party chat together on PlayStation, and then before we actually partied up in the game, it loaded us into the same instance. Now, if it's doing that intelligently, like looking at what your party chat is and then putting everybody in that party chat in the same instance, that's very clever and really cool. And that means that there's a lot less loading, like in Destiny, between instances. I mean, when you join you might both be in the tower, but if you go and join up in a fire team, it will then load one person out and then back into the tower to join that fire team. And there's none of that in this game. And it felt like, the partying up and the multiplayer aspect felt really, really well designed and really well thought out. I just want to see those menus get a bit snappier, the feel of them be a bit more responsive, in general. Let's see a stabilization of that frame rate, things like that, which I think will happen. It just needs, they just need to put some polish on it and get some patches coming out and stuff, which, they've already been doing. So I have faith that, they're going to work on that a gazillion. So, it's good to see a free-to-play game being done right. That's what I like, if you want to spend some serious money on that, you really, really can. Like, because all the characters have got multiple costumes, and you can only buy the multiple alternative costumes with real money. So, you can really spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds if you really wanted to. But at the same time, you don't have to. And that's the best, that's the best kind of free to play, isn't it? So that's what I think. Yeah. So guys, have either of you guys played it on PC? Adam, maybe?
No, not played it.
It's a good game. Richard, I think it'll be a fun one for us to play and stuff and get in on. When it gets out fully, I think it'd be a good one.
I don't know. It's one of those time games, isn't it? Ever since I played Phantasy Star for like 5 years and nothing else.
I don't know if it is one of those time games though, because there is like a proper story. It isn't just about grinding, sort of like a dungeon just repeatedly. There is a real narrative written by a comic book writer, Brian Michael Bendis. The actual story has been like written by him, and it's. And it does take you through that narrative. There is a narrative to go through. That's when I originally played it on PC a few years ago. I put about 40 or 50 hours in on PC, did all the story stuff and things like that. And it feels like I'm trying to remember if I actually paid for that game on PC originally or not. I can't remember if it was ever a paid for game. I really can't. If it became free to play, no, it's a cool one, Rich. Seriously, man. When it comes out properly, when it gets into open beta or whatever, join us. Join us, all of you. Join us. Well, now Adam can as well because he's got a PS4 he can get on as well. That'd be fun.
I ain't getting on that PS4.
It sounds to me like Adam's brother could join us, and then Adam just watches his brother.
Adam can have the headset, and he can be talking to us, but his brother's playing. That'd be fun. different.
It is true. Most of my gaming nowadays is spectating. This is a true fact about my life.
You've become a true modern gamer in that regard, I guess. Then you know with the popularity.
But, you
more
know,
people watch games than play them now, don't they? So
yeah, it works for me. Especially like RPGs. I mean, really, there's no need for you to be the one pressing the button. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. I could sort of in Marvel Heroes, if there was like an option when you go into one of those big instances and you just want to level up, if there was just an option to tick a box that play for me and you just watch explosions. I mean, that's basically all it is when you're doing that. What level did you end up on before when you stopped playing, Joel? When you found your main character, which was magic of all
just
characters
resonated.
So,
Well, there were 38 to choose from. I didn't have time to try them all, and in a similar vein to you, I didn't want to progress too far into it merely to have progress wiped when I know that further down the line I'll be picking this up again and playing it. So I got to level 35, which was virtually far enough to unlock everything except the ultimate moves. So it's quite. I wrote about it a bit in the preview. It seems to be quite nice how that. Sort of all the depth of the RPG elements of the game are slowly unlocked rather than sort of just being there from the start and you just sort of overwhelmed by all these different options and choices and various skill trees and things. They do kind of stage it so you get most of your moves up till level 12, so you get a chance to try all your moves first, and then they unlock the sort of first set of skill trees, which once you've figured out you've already played with all your moves, you know which moves you like, you can then start working your skill tree to focus on those moves. So it's kind of nice how it stages all of that together, and hitting level 60 gets you your ultimate move. So that's the only part of the game I don't really understand. They have got this interesting thing where you basically can craft your own mission, which was pretty weird. Like it was, cool. You literally you go to Professor Xavier's Cerebro place and you sort of sit down and you take your mission recipe, you kind of choose kind of what kind of enemies you'd like, you then imbue it with some sort of special items that you have, and you basically craft this mission which you then deploy, which opens a portal on the floor, and then you go and do it. I think the idea is, I didn't really understand too much about it, what I was doing, and the depth of what all the things mean, but then I ended up in this mission where I was kind of fighting dinosaurs and stuff. It was a bit cool. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting idea. There's loads there, and there's plenty even in the I played it for a good set 8, maybe 10 hours. So yeah, to try and know that there's even more that I don't understand and things, I think it's quite exciting. So I'm looking forward to trying it again.
It sounds a bit like the blueprints in Forza, doesn't it, Rich? Pretty cool. That's one of the coolest. Actually, that's one of the coolest underrated things in that game as well. That you can craft your own races. So anything like that that's fun. I like that kind of freedom.
Have you used that very much in Forza?
Oh, I do it for most races. I usually tweak bits and pieces. Yeah. Yes, I really like that. I really like how you can you can really change a race a great deal by changing the kind of cars you can have in that race and the time of day and the weather and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of variety you can do with that. Yeah, I really like that mode. Okay, let's move on now. I'm going to talk about a game I reviewed in the last couple of weeks, which was a game that has been out on PC for years, I think. I'd have to double check the dates, but it's been a while. Planetbase. Any of you guys familiar with Planetbase?
Talk about Planetbase a bit last time.
We did, but that was before I put my review up.
Okay.
So I wanted to just touch on it a little bit with you guys. Yeah, there isn't a lot more to say though, because other than it is a very, very well constructed, very well thought out resource management city builder type game set on a space colony. Adam, have you ever come across Planetbase? I feel like it's a game you would check out. Bless you.
No, I haven't played it. I'd like to. It sounds like my sort of game. But
yes, it is.
The problem with that sort of genre is there's loads of them on Steam, and about 90% of them are going to be terrible. So you have to kind of wait for someone to come and go, this is one of the good ones. This is worth the effort. And
this is one of the good ones. This is worth the effort. There you go.
All right. I'll get in there. I'll get in there nice and quick.
No, I mean, basically, what I liked about it, weirdly, is that it has a limited scope. That it's not trying to have 4,000 different types of building with 2 million different types of colonists with another 25 different types of disaster and weather effect. It's gone, all right, we've got this, quite a realistic selection of different things you can build in the idea of a science fiction-y type space colony, so dome things, oxygen reclamation stuff, and then it's got I'd say like half a dozen maybe a few more, maybe like 10 different interconnected resources that, will rely on each other in different ways. And I told a story last week about how my whole colony died because I had an unlucky meteor strike that killed my biologists, and their biologists were the only way that they could like get food, and then everybody just starved slowly over a period of weeks. And it was just quite this depressing but also hilarious, and also one of those nice stories you sometimes recount about those types of games that really adds to that experience, that really makes you feel that you're invested and you create them. And now my colony, the colony I've currently run, if you watch the video review, it's this massive sprawling domed mega complex of awesomeness now that I understand the systems, and it feels like a real accomplishment. I really like this game. It's about 16 quid. It's just come out on the console, on an Xbox. I don't think it's on PlayStation. And you don't get a lot of games like this on the console. But saying that, I bought City Skylines. I've not even played it yet on Xbox. But it's weird that all of a sudden these management city games are starting to appear on console all at the same time, which is a bit of a shame because I suspect Planetbase will get overlooked for City Skylines because that's the one everybody's been talking about for the last 2 years. However, I thought Planetbase, because it's that sci-fi setting, that colony setting, it's a bit different. It's a bit more unique. It's not a SimCity type. It's not something you necessarily played before, especially on console. So I definitely suggest checking it out. Check out my full review over at the site, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. Joel, I imagine in the same vein, you probably don't want to spend too much time talking about RWBY RWBY.
No, I just thought it was worth putting on there because obviously last time I was on the podcast, I just that day started playing it, and obviously now I've seen it through to its conclusion. It's disappointing. And the major highlights, I would say, obviously this game was developed in 5 months, and the backstory to it being it was a fan basically who started developing the game as just a fan project, which was eventually caught the attention of the owners of the anime, who then decided to set up a computer game division and bring him in to kind of finish it off. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if you actually watch the anime, I don't know if that's going to be enough to bring it in to make it exciting for you. It wouldn't be for me. It was just very repetitive, very flat, very boring. It lacked any form of tutorial to really sort of introduce you to the concepts, the basic moves. I still have no idea if I actually worked out every possible move in the game that you could do. It's a hack and slash game basically as well. The enemies were just flat and dull. It was it was just everything just felt really, copied a lot of ideas from other areas, and they've just felt poorly implemented. So yeah, for me, it wasn't that enjoyable. Multiplayer gave it a bit of extra life playing with some other people, but yeah, not much. So that's kind of one to avoid from me, unless you're a massive fan of the TV series, in which case you might want to watch some videos and see if it's your kind of thing.
Fair enough. I mean, check out Joel's full 1-star review on the site for more of his dislike of that game. But I think, Adam, have you actually had time then? When did you, you've had PC problems. Have you actually been playing Battle Chasers?
Well, before my PC problems, I played Battle Chasers. I actually got a script ready to do the review. The only problem being that now, like, my computer's fine when I'm just doing something like this, but if I start doing video editing, that's obviously quite CPU intensive, and I get to watch like my temperature gauge go up to around about 99 degrees. That was when I bailed out, because at that point,
Jesus,
you're kind of imminently about to set fire to your CPU. So I decided I was going to stop there. But I've played it. I've played it for a good couple of hours. I'm ready to review it. I just can't edit a video.
So do you want to leave that as a teaser then for maybe next time when you
sure
out, and then we'll talk about it on the next one? Or
yeah, all right, let's do that.
If you're cool with that, when maybe when it's fresh in your mind and stuff, because maybe things are a little unhealthy with your computer right now.
They're not great.
To tempt fate. What's the temperature right now?
The temperature right now, live streaming of my temperature, is 72 degrees.
72 degrees, a balmy 72 degrees.
Yeah, 73, 72. Oh, it hit 74.
Oh, it's peaking.
There you go.
The more you talk about it, the hotter it gets.
Yeah.
A bit like Richard and the man he met on his run today. Sexual tension with a big fella. That's right, isn't it, Rich? I've heard some stories. Yeah. I'm surprised you posted that on Facebook. I didn't think you want your wife to know about your special level of love.
Well, I don't mind you knowing. What?
And now everyone knows. Sharing the love. Okay, what I would really like to do, actually, Adam, because you wrote the most. Well, sorry, you recorded a video review of the most effusive. You loved this game. It was the best game you've ever reviewed for the site, and then you couldn't make the podcast for various reasons.
I couldn't.
So I was very disappointed not to have you there for that. But me and Richard did talk about it a little bit, but I know Richard's played a lot more. But what I really want to hear is your love for Mr. Shifty.
Well, the only problem with that being that I listened to you guys talk about it, and you did cover all the reasons why I love it. Basically, it's just an incredibly satisfying game to play. It doesn't require a great deal of explanation. If you watch 20 seconds of it being played, you now know how to play it. And it just makes you feel incredible while you play it. Like it's a study in player empowerment. You have an incredible set of skills that are really strong, and the game eases you in and then just spends about 10 levels trying its hardest to kill you and failing because you're so incredible. What more do you want from an action game than that? Like, it's just an adrenaline surge from the minute you boot it up to the minute you stop. It's fantastic.
Are you better at it than me? Because I died a fuck ton.
It's easy. I'm wickedly good at it.
I was going to ask you both, actually. Did you guys play? Well, obviously, right. Richard's playing it on the Switch. Adam, on PC, were you playing it with controller or keyboard and mouse?
Controller, always controller.
Right, I was just going to see, because I started off with controller and mouse, and then I switched to, keyboard and mouse, and then I switched to controller, and the controller was, a lot
better. I cannot imagine that game's even playable on keyboard and mouse, to be honest.
Yeah, it felt
I would dread to think.
Yeah. No, I was just curious which way you're playing. So, Richard, now that you finished the game, Richard, do you still feel the same about it once you complete it?
I like it more, because it's got that thing where it's very rare, and I don't want to go down the route of referencing Braid, because that's probably a decade out of date now, but Braid, that thing where it has one idea that's really good and it iterates on that idea until it runs out of iterations and then just stops, and it does that brilliantly, right to the very last level. There's always something slightly new without it muddying what the central design of the game is. It doesn't add new control features. It doesn't keep chucking stuff in that makes no sense. It's all consistent with the sort of design from level one through to the end, but it just mixes it up in logical ways and never gets old.
100%, I agree with that. It's one of the things that really caught my eye as I was playing through it was it has an idea. It goes, wouldn't it be interesting if there were little like zones where you couldn't teleport? There was like an anti-teleportation field. Okay, let's do some levels with that. And the second that gets boring, it goes, I've done with that now. Never do that again. And that's it. Like, you're on to the next new thing. Like, now it's like, what if there were gun turrets? That'd be an interesting thing in this world. And that's so rare and so wonderful to see. A game that knows how long an idea needs to be there and then discards it when it's run its course. It's wonderful.
You haven't got to the last two levels, have you?
No.
You're going to go insane when you see them.
Do they do cool things?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward.
He's gonna have to pack ice around his processor to play it, but he's gonna find a way.
Stick a bag of frozen peas in there. That'll be all right? That won't cause any problem.
I'd love to see the guy in the computer shop's face when you take that one in, and he just opens the case and all these peas come out.
Yeah, exactly. And water, presumably.
Yeah. What did you do? No, I really.
Cooling, it's good.
I need to find some time to play some more of Mr. Shifty. It was what I played was very, very cool, very, very cool indeed. On
the Switch, also just the HD Rumble just really sets it off. It feels, you were talking, Adam, in your review about how it feels quite high impact, if I remember, and just everything feels like you're really hitting stuff. That
really crunchy.
10 when you've got HD Rumble, it just feels amazing.
Yeah, hashtag reason to buy Switch.
That's fair. I'd be really interested to see what they've done with the Rumble. Also, like it's a classic. If you want to know the sort of games I like, any game where your hands learn to play it while your brain is off doing something else, those are games I like, and this definitely does that. Like, there's whole sections of it where you're doing incredible stuff and you don't even know how you're doing it. You just, your fingers know.
I talked about that like 2 weeks ago, where I was talking about how the game is instinctual, and I fucking loved that. How I felt That I wasn't putting so much thought into every movement. I was just doing it, and it
kind of helps
amazing.
you a bit, doesn't it?
Loads.
It feels like it's on autopilot, but it helps you enough that you think you're totally in control, and it looks totally cool. But it's helping.
You mentioned it, I think last time around, and it's something I noticed as well. The auto aim on your punches doesn't just auto aim for the nearest guy; it does a threat assessment. It goes for the guy you should be punching. It kind of knows what you ought to be doing and helps you along the way in a really subtle way.
Yeah, it's got that feeling almost like rather than it almost feels like the character, Mr. Shifty, you're his partner. You're not controlling him. You're like working with him. It's a fantastic balance. It's tuned so damn well. Joel, you'd enjoy it.
You've got to play it, man.
I noticed it's on the Switch earlier when you were talking about it, and I thought, I will purchase that later. I should think. That sounds kind of right up my kind of alley, basically.
What I want to talk to you about.
How are the frame rate problems in the end, Richard?
Oh yes, yeah.
Not so bad come the end, actually. I did experience some horrendous issues about halfway through, but I think it turned out to be a bit of Switch-based instability rather than the game itself. So getting through to the end is perfectly serviceable. I mean, it's not 100% stable, and I can get why people would be bothered by that in a game like this, but it's not game-breaking at all. Far better than I expected it to be.
Cool.
Now to segue us indelicately, because there is no nice way of this, but I really want to hear Joel tell me about this lovely way he is playing a game I have. It's on my list. I need to play this game from last year. It looks gorgeous, but I really like the way Joel's playing ABZU. Can you tell the guys, how you're experiencing that right now on your console, and then I'll finish it off with some Destiny.
Yeah, sure. Have either of you guys heard or played this game?
I recognise the name, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
So this is basically, it's by Giant Squid Games. It's made by a guy called Matt Nava. I think it's Nava is how you pronounce his name. Basically, he did all the art direction for Journey. So I'm assuming you've heard of Journey. So it's basically Journey underwater, except the big difference is you haven't got other random players joining you. So this is an isolated experience in comparison to Journey, which is sort of an isolated experience until you realize that the other person you're playing with is actually another real player. Anyway, so I've been playing. It's an underwater game. It's got a very ambiguous narrative. You basically, it's all about your interpretation of what it's presenting. There are murals on the wall that kind of pull together are pulling together some story about your character and the relevance in the world. And it's brilliant. I love those kind of games. I love those games where you don't know what's going on, but it's beautiful and you're interested enough to try and figure it out, and you start piecing together your own interpretation of the story of the game, and it never tells you at the end. It's just kind of, it's up to you what the experience you take out of it is. So it's a very peaceful, calm game. It's full of fish. It's based apparently it's inspired by his love of scuba diving. And
that's got on the box, isn't it? Peaceful and full of fish. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. It's really beautiful looking as well. There are some places that are very bland. As you go deeper into the ocean, you go to some quite big depths, and it's very bland. But the sort of surface areas, it's very corally, it's very bright. The fish are really realistic. You can sit there and just watch it. In fact, it has this meditate mode where literally you can just sit and watch the fish and just see it play on. But anyway. So yeah, I've been playing that this week, and I've been playing it with my son, who's 2.5 years old. So he will, just before his bedtime, he will come and sit with me, and I will play this, and we are literally showing him all the fish. I sort of grab hold of a turtle and let it pull me around for a while, and then I'll show him the sharks and the sort of manatees and all these different type of fish. And it's been really quite peaceful. So he'll come and sit with me, and he'll watch it. He's at this stage now where, when we put him to bed, he kind of gets up immediately and then comes and stands at the top of the stairs and he's not ready to go to bed. So instead I sit and play this with him. And he tends to sort of just fall asleep after about 30 minutes of watching it. It's a really nice experience, actually. It's a very safe game to play with children. There's nothing too serious in there. It's stunning looking. And yeah, I'm really glad I bought it in the Xbox sale about a month ago, I think it was. And yeah, it's been on my list of games to play for a while, and it certainly was a very good experience. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I just really like that you've got this sort of like little bit of bonding and like edutainment thing going
nice.
on, and it's just really, I just really like that game can work on that level. I just think that's charming. You know?
I think it's colourful enough and interesting enough for the fish and everything as well that it captures his attention as well as mine. So it's it's
very cool, man. Yeah, I it was in the sale. I think I've got a PlayStation Plus version of it or something. I got it for free, or boy, I can't bloody remember. I know it's sat on my PlayStation. Problem is, I hardly ever turn it on my PlayStation, and I desperately should play that game because it looks. I love Journey. Journey was so.
It's very short. You can complete it in just over an hour. It's an hour, 90 minutes, an hour and a half. Yeah, you should just take it and crack on through it. It's certainly a positively good experience.
Just mentioning PlayStation Plus, though, did remind me that of the free games that have just come on this month, and they are 2 really, really good games, guys. If you've got a Plus subscription, which is Tales from Borderlands and Alienation, Alienation is such a great top-down kind of shooter. You can play in co-op, and I highly recommend that. But Tales from Borderlands is probably the best Telltale game as well. So if you've not done that story and that, I highly recommend that. But I just wanted to end this episode with a little thing. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Stephen, who did a Destiny retrospective piece on the website, and also looking forward to Destiny 2, because that's surprisingly only a few months away in September. I think we're about to get the gameplay reveal as well quite soon as well. But that inspired me, and I went back and played some Destiny for the first time in a long time, which include, since the Age of Triumph thing came out, that sort of patch thing, and that refreshed the raids and stuff like that. Do you know what? Destiny is still Destiny. The problem for me is I guess I'd call myself like a hardcore casual player, if that makes any sense, because I played a lot of Destiny. However, I didn't really play the raids very much. So the idea that they've gone back and refreshed all this high-end content for the raid stuff doesn't really appeal to me that much. I'm not really that bothered about going back and playing the raids again, because I didn't really play them the first time. I know that's a whole element, and I know Steve, if he's listening to this, will be spinning around in anger. What the fuck, Ben? Why were you not playing the raids? They're the best part of the game. Blah 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 blah. I've heard it all before, Steve. So shut up.
Steve will be angry that we don't talk about just Destiny every podcast. Nothing else.
For 2 hours every 2 weeks. This is a man that would be like, oh no, you can't give me a game to review for free, Ben, because there's a new patch for Destiny coming out that week, and that's all I'm going to play for the next 12 days. He's actually used that as an excuse more than once, because that's how into that. I imagine he's already pre-ordered the game 6 times as well on every platform, special edition, normal edition. But hey, I wish I had one game that held my attention like that, and that was all I wanted to do forever. I'm, however, like a butterfly that flits between, a beautiful butterfly, I might add, that flits between every game. I even want to play Prey, even though I probably won't like it. I don't know what's wrong with me. But it's just like, yeah. But no, I went back and played some Destiny, and that still feels great. And that's what I want, is that awesome shooting in Destiny 2. Keep the way that game feels. Keep that. Progress with that. Give us a good story. Give us some new loot, and I'm in. I'm not asking for too much, am I, guys? I mean, who else is cautiously looking forward to Destiny 2?
Oh, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Destiny just felt like the perfect console first-person shooter combat. It just felt good, and
yes,
that's even though in its first iteration, I would say the content was extremely limited. It didn't matter. It had that solid foundation of perfect feeling gameplay. The weapons just felt beautiful. Everything felt really good. So as long as they capture that again, yeah, I'll certainly play it. I played some of the raids, but I'm not that kind of person who's hooked enough to play them every week to, get the benefits in the loots and do all the challenge mode and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the second one. Hopefully they'll push things forward in a positive way.
How about you, Richard? Because I mean, I always bring this up. Famously, you reviewed Destiny, didn't you? And then you reviewed Taken King, and you actually scored Taken King lower than Destiny, even though ostensibly it made the game better. And I think that was very curious, and I always remember that. But I can totally understand where you were coming from. How do you feel about Destiny 2 coming?
Not buying it. Not interested in the slightest.
Not buying it. Look at that. Ooh,
at least not yet.
Drawn.
I think once bitten, twice shy, because the original Destiny, I did kind of enjoy it. I probably enjoyed it less than I pretended that I did. I probably got
integrity first. That's Richard.
I'm just being honest. I think I've probably got swept along with a bit of the hype, because I did buy into Destiny early on. I pre-ordered it digitally, and I did enjoy it. It wasn't a bad game. I think I gave it like 8 out of 10 or something at the time, which is probably a bit too generous. But you know, it's easy to say that in hindsight, isn't it? I enjoyed it for what it was. I think as we played it more and got a few weeks down the line, it became clear that there wasn't as much content as there really should have been. And the reason I reviewed the Taken King DLC as lower than the original game is because it was all content that was scheduled to be in the original game. And I viewed it basically as what we should have got in the first place. So I didn't see it as a value package. And I know you shouldn't review games based on how much they cost and whether it's worth the money. But for that game, the package was so egregiously priced that you can't ignore it.
No, I like I said, I can understand where you come from. Yeah.
Destiny 2, it makes me wary. I think if I'm going to get involved, it ain't going to be day one. It's going to be a bit further down the line when I've seen what sort of content's on offer. Maybe there'll be a couple of expansion packs bundled in with it, because I don't want to be paying for it every year. It's one of those where I kind of like it. It's fine, but if you're not going to commit to it, you might as well not play it at all.
Well, I suggest you ask your chimpanzee pet what the best thing to do would be.
The tortured monkey.
I didn't think they were illegal to keep as pets in the UK, but you know, it's cool. Has he got a name? Is it maybe the one from that film? What's the one? What's the film with Clint Eastwood and the orangutan?
Every which way but
loose.
Every way but loose. Yes. Is it that kind of relationship you have with him? I mean, what's his name? Bobo? Are we going to go with like a classic?
Yeah,
Frank
I've never seen any of those films. I imagine the monkey feels tits and things. My dog does not do that. He has no thumbs. I'm sure
but if he did,
the monkey mostly drinks beer while Clint Eastwood wins money in bare knuckle fights. That's mostly the plot of that film. Yeah, and occasionally it does like something funny, you know, like
because it's a monkey.
Sticks its finger up at a police officer and things like that.
Back when you could have monkeys in films.
No, I don't think it ever does really. I don't, because you get into a bestiality kind of thing if they do that. It gets awkward.
There's some lines you don't want to cross in a Clint Eastwood film. Not many, considering how much of a racist he is, but there are a couple of lines. Right.
To get back to the Destiny conversation,
yes.
I'm terribly afraid of Destiny 2. I fear that someday Bungie are going to harness that first-person shooting dynamic and put it on a proper MMO structure, and you're going to see a generation of children in this country lost forever. I think that would just be the end. I think half the gamers in the world would just go and live in caves.
I do. I mean, this is Activision, you know, who has World of Warcraft, Activision, who has Call of Duty, you know, some of the biggest franchises in on the planet. I would imagine that's exactly what they want. That is exactly what they're hoping Destiny 2 to be. I mean, it bears keeping in mind that, you know, Luke Smith was the lead designer on Taken King, and he's the lead designer on Destiny 2, which gives us hope for good narrative, which gives us hope for good gameplay. And you know, if they really blow out the MMO side of it and they keep that gameplay as amazing as it was, holy shit. I mean, so what Richard is saying is that he's going to listen to the first podcast where I talk about how amazing Destiny 2 is, and then he'll listen to the next podcast, see if I'm still positive, and if not, if I'm sounding a bit more miserable about how bored I am, and then on the third podcast then he'll be able to decide whether or not to buy it, basically. Is that right? Because I can tell you, I'm going to love that game when it comes out the door, and then I might end up hating it by the third podcast.
The key with any game like Destiny is you've got to talk to players after they've hit the cap and played for another week. If they're still interested after a week of end game content, then you've got something. But until then,
yeah, that's it. That's I suspect I'll hit Endgame in about 3 or 4 days after release. That's knowing what I did with Destiny 1. I max lighted Destiny 1 within 3 days. I think I was at the end the cap point of the first game when it first came out. So I can see something similar happening with 2. But yeah, I mean, I'm totally off of it now. I mean, I'm absolutely sick of, like, for the most part, other than the nostalgia value of going in with a couple of mates. It doesn't really hold much interest for me anymore. But I'm excited to see what they do too, no doubt. It's not long, September. It's like it'll be the first big one of the end of the year, I suspect.
Yeah.
So we'll see more then. But yeah, I think that brings us towards the end of the 25th episode of Bxb'S Bits and Bobs. You guys have been great. Oh, we've got a guest. Say hello, everyone. We've got a little
literally just scared the absolute crap out of me by stealthily sneaking right up behind me and then just touching my leg. Like, I resisted screaming.
You've got a little ninja. Do you want to introduce the guest, Joel?
This is Ellis, my son. Ellis, do you want to say hello?
Ellis.
Hello, Ellis.
Hey, Ellis. Hey, you can't hear us, can he? Because you've got headphones on.
No. Do you want to?
Come on. Hello, Ellis.
Hi, Ellis.
Hello.
He's not interested.
How are
He's
you?
not big on the headphones.
No.
Hello.
Oh, he's like, who are these weird, strange men?
Do you want to see the fish?
See the fish.
Yeah, you want to see the fish on the
Play
Xbox?
ABZU.
Oh, it's ABZU time. Oh, that's cool. Well, we'll wrap this up, and you can go and play ABZU. That's amazing. Right. So I've been your host, Ben, the editor-in-chief. I haven't mentioned that. Who gives a shit? I am at DIYE on Twitter. Richard Worrell, reviews editor, is at Colonel Red on the tweets.
Yes, thank you.
That's fine. See, I remember now. You don't have to say anything. Adam, PC editor. He is at Adam Breedham Dev on Twitter.
Yeah, that's
Joel
correct.
still abstaining from the tweets because he likes to have a modicum of a life, and I can respect that. Though it does make it really difficult when I'm including who the lineup is on my tweet promoting the show. Just to put, I'm Joel. People are like,
Yeah.
well, that
I'm
doesn't
the
count.
only one who's not actually linked to. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the chimpanzee is back, and I believe it's saying it's the end of the episode. He's been muted, but that's fine.
Do you think this episode's run its course? I think it's
I
time.
think that's what the chimpanzee is calling it. So that's cool. From now on, he'll be the official person to call the end of the episode. And hopefully, Adam, your PC will be feeling better
Yes.
for the next one. And
Fingers crossed.
Fingers and get those P's out. Make sure you leave a rating and a review on iTunes for us. Head over to the website, which is www.bxbgames.co.uk. We're on Facebook, BXB Games on Twitter. Find us on all those lovely places. And of course, I'm looking for new contributors, writers, reviewers, people who just want to talk about games. If you like games and you can feel like you can talk about them look at us. We're a bunch of jokers and we find a way of doing it. So it's like, I'm sure you'd be even better than us. So send us, I can't even speak. Send us a message on Twitter or on Facebook, anywhere you can find us, and have a chat with me. And you can talk about some games for us. That'd be amazing. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks, in which me and Richard will probably be loving some Hot Wheels and other things. Bye-bye.
Bye.